Amhara Fano Peoples Organization leadership. Now, the Amhara region, we have three layers of government. We have the federal government, and then we have the regional governments, and then we have at the bottom we have the district. We have districts. We call them Woredas. There were approximately at least one independent Fano organization in these 120 Woredas. Now, over the past year, what we have been doing is to bring these different organizations together. We have managed to reduce the numbers from over 100 to now almost roughly to 2. This is a monumental achievement, by the way. There are not over 100 a year ago, and now roughly 2. We have the Amhara Fano Peoples Organization for Fano organizations who have more or less come together. They haven't announced that they have formed an organization, but they have, they have this loose coalition. I mean, this is, like I said, 4 months ago, we came together and came out with this, with a bylaw, with a constitution, with an organizational constitution. We came out with a bylaw. We agreed on the bylaw. What we did was we elected a leader. We went on to elect a leader on the basis of that bylaw. This is a bylaw that they agreed to. So I mean, there's no way that we could not have an elected leader. I mean, that's possible. What they're saying is possible. But first, what we need to do is to change the bylaw. But unfortunately, of course, unfortunately, that's what the way that leaders are. Leaders of organizations are made. Whatever organization you may have, you have to elect your leaders. There's no other way. You cannot appoint a leader to an organization, especially a liberation movement. If it's a liberation movement, you have to elect your leader. That's the standard. That's the convention. That's the way it's done. Not only in Ethiopia, but throughout the world. Well, what has changed is, our people have been liberated. They do not have an oppressive government, a genocidal government, by the way. And this is not only an oppressive government. We have had oppressive governments in Ethiopia throughout our history. We have never had democracy. So we're used to having oppressive governments. What's different now is that we have a genocidal government. And this genocidal government is geared. It's looking specifically towards the Amharas, not to the rest of the ethnic groups. So I mean, the very fact that people have been liberated from a genocidal regime is by itself a great achievement. That by itself is a paradigm shift. It's a huge paradigm shift from our perspective, from the unique circumstance that we find ourselves in. So this is the monumental achievement. We have liberated ourselves. We have liberated the vast majority of the Amhara region from a genocidal regime. But unfortunately, of course, having said this, I should also point out that the absence of the government, this has meant that, schools have been closed. Schools have been closed. Health facilities have been closed. Roads have not been repaired. There's no capital investment in the whole in the Amhara region because of the war. Economic activities have been curtailed. So there are side effects to this war. There's no question about that. Kids are not being vaccinated. And there are many pitfalls that I could say. But overall, I mean, the primary need and want of the people is to be liberated from a genocidal regime, despite the difficulties. Despite the difficulties, there are, like I said, many economic and social difficulties that we face because of the war. But the huge relief that we have, the monumental achievement that we have is that we have been liberated from a regime that wants to murder us on the basis of our ethnicity. We are operating in the Amhara region, and our cause is the prevention of prevention. It's stopping and prevention of genocide against the Amhara people. But we are not fighting only the regional government. I mean, that's a very fundamental point that you have to understand. What we are fighting is the federal government, because the root of the problem is the federal government. The genocidal regime is not only the regional government. It's not the regional government. It's primarily the federal government. So our cause is not limited to the Amhara region. Our cause is a federal issue. It's a human rights issue. It's a fundamental human rights. The right to live is the basis of all rights, by the way. And our cause, the genesis, the roots of the genocide that we face is the constitution. It's the federal constitution, not the regional constitution. This is an operational issue, by the way. This is a military operational issue. But what our aim is specifically to go and root out the genocide problem, which is in Addis Ababa, which is the federal government, the seat of the federal government. So So our aim is to liberate Addis Ababa, where the federal government is. We're fighting to capture Addis Ababa, not the Amhara region. Our aim is for a paradigm shift in the constitution. This country needs a constitution that will take the country beyond hate politics. Because the genesis, the root cause of genocide is the hate politics, the state-sponsored. The federal government state-sponsored hate politics that has been imposed on our nation for over 3 decades. Now the aim is to go to the roots. The aim is to go to the root of the problem, which is in Addis Ababa. So our aim is Addis Ababa, and our goal is for a new constitution that will take Ethiopia to a new era. Now, the kind of problem that we have is that we are being attacked on the basis of our ethnicity. So we are defending ourselves on the basis of ethnicity. We are fighting for the Amharas. We are defending the Amhara people. But we also understand that the genesis of the problem, the root cause of the problem, comes from hate politics. And specifically, of course, generally from hate politics, from hate-based identity politics, but specifically state-sponsored hate politics. Okay. So we have to, now, when we think about the solution, first we have to defend ourselves. We have to survive. We have to live. That's what we're doing right now. And then we have to think about the solution. Now, how do we get out of this problem as a country? As we have seen it in Rwanda, by the way. It's after 3 decades of hate-based ethnic politics in Rwanda. State-sponsored hate politics that genocide finally happened in 1994. It started immediately after independence in 1959. It took 3 decades for genocide to wipe out 1 million people. And almost the same thing has happened in Ethiopia. After 3 decades of state-sponsored hate politics in Ethiopia, we have come to the point where state-sponsored genocide has happened in Ethiopia. And Abiy Ahmed and the Prosperity Party, the only thing they have done is to change their names. The Tigrayans and the Oromos are being prosecuted on the basis of their political views, while Amharas and all Ethiopians are being prosecuted on the basis of their political stand or political position, because there's a dictatorship in the country. What makes the Amhara case different, unique, is that we are the only ethnic group that's being attacked only on the basis of ethnicity. That's why we speak of genocide and not political prosecution. So there's a fundamental difference there. There's a genocidal regime and there's a dictatorial regime. The dictatorial regime is against the Oromos, who have a different view than the PP, the ruling party, and the same goes for the Tigrayans and the Somalis and all other ethnic groups. But when it comes to Amharas, the state is attacking Amharas irrespective of their political position.